They're saying that if you're in a concrete sector and you're not been to Vegas, you're not a concrete person. You're not a professional who belongs to this field because it's known as a mecca. And just to give you a little glimpse of how the world of concrete Vegas looks like, it's massive, mammoth, right? And whosoever had visited literally swears upon it. Can I request my team to play a video of Vegas event? I think this climate change is so evident. I mean, earlier we used to read it in the books, in the newspapers. It's something called climate change, but today we are feeling the pinch of climate change. The changing patterns. Example is why not? Yeah, rains, the changing patterns of crops, the changing patterns of weather. You know, just imagine 50 years back, 40 years back, the kind of weather it used to be.
Unpredictable rains.
Now, today, I mean, this is all part of the climate change, and now we are really, we are feeling the heat of it. In fact, I'm also wearing yet another hat on renewable energy because that's an event what we do. That's pure play on this sustainability and the clean energy. Because renewable energy is all about using the resources like solar, the wind, the bio, and the hydro, and the small hydro rather, in a technical sense, right? And generating power from that. So, because ultimately we all know that these fossil fuels, which have been a permanent damage to the world, right? Now, when India talks about a grown economy, and when India talks about net zero, renewable energy is going to play a humongous role. So that it starts from a peripheral perspective, it starts becoming into the mainstay or the mainstream of power generation. And today the government is coming up with a lot of hybrid tenders also, where you have solar and the wind, because both have their individual pros and both complement and supplement each other. The only way you get around the clock clean power will address this issue of climate change. It will not, see, the day will not happen when the coal will be finished from the world, right? But what you can do is to minimize your dependence on the fossil fuels. This is where the role of clean energy comes in, the role of renewable energy comes in. I think you must be, as a journalist, you must be reading and observing that how much government is focusing on promoting solar energy. From rooftops to metrics, not only for JSW, not only for the construction industry, but for the entire community, because the world is actually going to thrive as we move forward on sustainability.
So if I plant in Bangalore, we were in 1994. So all these big trucks you see, it originated in 1994. And I've seen how the technology transformed from making it on the roadside and then to these trucks. As Ranish rightly said, India is the place which is going to happen in the next few decades or maybe century, and the same applies for the construction industry. My belief is, sooner than we think, more than 50 to 60% of the entire construction of the world is going to happen here. We need roads, we need highways, we need airports, we need housing, we need everything. We need good footpaths also. So, and it's all going to happen here, nowhere in the world. But the challenge is, somebody who has been Bangalorean for long, the challenge is two. One is, can we deliver the way world does it? Can we construct the way world constructed? And secondly, the end user, people like you, are they getting the benefit which they are supposed to get? To make my logic simple, and I think Rajneesh also touched upon it, I think though we have made good progress in the last 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, but we need more than that. We don't want to see any work in progress. But the sorry state of affair is that, and I have no shame to say that, show me one city in India where you will find 1 kilometer of continuous good footpath. The kind of footpath you see anywhere in the world. where a man, irrespective of his age, or a woman, irrespective of her age, can walk comfortably without fearing that where the next step will land. Second, don't we Indians deserve better quality of life in terms of the commutation we do from home to your office, office to home? I mean, it's a nightmare. And it's a nightmare even today. Especially Nama Bangalore, I mean, lesser the said, the better it is in terms of the infrastructure which this city has missed for the last so many decades. I'm not talking today, yesterday. Sometime when I go to city like Mumbai, I go to city like Chennai, and I see the infrastructure there, I put my head in shame. It's not that we don't have the technology, it's not that we don't have the manpower, it's not that we don't have the money, but then why we don't have this commutation benefit which a common man wants? Many youngsters I meet, they ask me this question, that why can't we have a road like what we see in Singapore or Dubai or even Malaysia or even in Thailand? They are smaller countries. So friends, I am happy, and as Rajesh rightly said, I am addressing the people who are the mightiest to take my word forward. I mean, you are the people who can raise questions to the people who matters, that why the very same Indian civil engineer goes to anywhere in the world and construct the best buildings or the roads or the highways or the footpath. Why can't it be done in a place like Bangalore? I will only talk about our city, I will not go beyond that. So I think, to me, it looks like the answer is very simple. Whatever construction we do, I think the government or the agencies or anybody who is doing it, even a private company or a private builder or a private contractor, the benchmark should be, are we doing it the way world does it? The moment we ask this question, are we doing it the way world does it, whether in terms of material, we saw what happens in Vegas in terms of concrete, so whether in terms of material, whether in terms of process, whether in terms of technology, whether in terms of machine, whether in terms of I would say award of contract. Just for information of all of you, even today in our country, for all the public contracts, we have a system of L1. Now this L1 dilutes the whole thing. The lowest bidder, and you will be surprised, some of the bids in projects like metro goes minus 30%. Now what will they do with minus 30%? It is common sense, no? Anybody can guess that. So unless, and I interacted with some of the projects at BIL, at our airport, they had this wonderful scheme of L1 and T1. So you have to be the lowest also, and you have to be the technically most competent as well. Then only it works. I remember, and I'll take another 2 minutes, if you permit. I used to work in the 4-laning of Bangalore from Madiwala to Attibeli highway project way back in the early 90s. That was those days the very first Asian Development Bank project in India. And it was the largest project for L&T those days, 110 crore to be precise. We had a collaboration with a company called Colas from France to have the technology. There was one gentleman, one planning engineer, I still remember, one Mr. Joseph, who was a Frenchman. So what would happen, every 10 days, the service road and the alignment of the road will change, because some bureaucrat will come and say, my village is here, so you give one access to my village. And everything gets started changing. Joseph said way back in 1992, because we had the data that how much traffic is going to be on this road. He says, you mark my word, in less than 10 to 15 years, you will have a road above this road. It has happened. It has happened. Sir, recently I read an article in one newspaper. They captured all these herbs and shrubs and small plants growing in our metro project. Nowhere in the world it happens. So, if India has to become a superpower in economy in the top 3, we need to pay attention to how construction is done in this country, and are we doing the way the world does it. One of the things happened in that ADB project was, it was governed under FIDIC. FIDIC is a governing system of contracts all over the world. Unfortunately, our bureaucrats made sure that the FIDIC is out of the contract, and we went back to again L1. So my humble submission to my friends in the media is, construction in India, even if it is making the smallest of the footpath, is it the way world does it? Is it the global standard? Is it the way Singapore does it? Is it the way Dubai does it? And I think the way we start comparing it, not that what happened 20 years back and what we are doing today, I think that's a wrong comparison. The comparison should be how the world does it. The moment we start thinking that, I think this industry will change, and only then I would say India will become a superpower. Otherwise, we will still continue to travel at 8 kilometers per hour.
How much of longevity is built into all that? And then, if you ponder back, I felt that somewhere the root problem lay in planning and an excessive focus on cost innovation. So most of our innovation has been driven by on the cost side. We've tried to save costs, like he said, L1 is the dominant factor. We look at outlay more than life cycle costs. So that kind of brings the focus very narrowly into one aspect where utility is lost completely. Again, like Rajneesh mentioned, we are in the right place at the right time. We have waited very long, I think, as a country. Today we have the population which creates markets. We have the talent which has been built up over time, and we have the right proportional age within the population. We are not just passive consumers, we are active contributors significantly, not just in India, rest of the world also. So that is very positive. A little bit of, I'm putting it very crudely when I say that there's a bit of luck that many of the countries around the world are not doing so well at this point in time. We have a shift that is happening in terms of preference of India as a center for establishing capability centers, R&D centers, manufacturing units, not just in the lowest of technology level, it's slowly stepping up. So today we have the opportunity to be an active competitor to China, even the China plus one strategy that most of the world is following now. I know it's probably at very nascent stages, but it's picking up steam, and we're seeing a lot of active establishments moving into India. We still manage to retain the growth when the rest of the world is struggling with to even hit 2% or 3%. The advanced world also. So that is, I think we are in the right place. We also have today established our presence across the rest of the world. If you see in the US, maybe 30 years back, we as a population did not have the presence or the recognition that is there today. Today, almost every Fortune 500 company has someone at the helm, and they relate to India and its capabilities far, far better. So that's another point in our favor. Of course, in the next, the young population that we are talking about, it's not me and may not be many of us, but the next generation, they would have the chance to turn things differently. Post that, we will also land up in the same boat as many of the European nations where activity centers. So that's inevitable, and that's part of life on this planet, I guess. But like it is rightly being looked at, we have the place under the sun for the next 30 years, and debits. So the more green your product is, you are only you're going to have a relative difference in cost, primarily on the sustainability quotient. So all these are interesting topics. We are happy.
And that really excited me. It has become a passion for me now, and that's what I pursue, most of the time. Sustainability and innovation. The amount of the work, which we need to do, and we are doing on technology, research, some of the fundamental work, which is here. So sustainability per se, if you look at it, sustainability means conserving resources, managing with what we have, not consuming it in excess, and leaving sufficient, for the generations to come. So that's the broader definition of the sustainability. There are a lot of KPIs, the way the sustainability is measured, and one of the KPI is the amount of the CO2 emission which we do, and which we put it out into the atmosphere with the human activities. There are a lot of other KPIs, which are there to do with the gender diversity, to do with the ethics, to do with the biodiversity. To do with the work which we do for the community at large. I'll touch upon the sustainability from the point of the CO2 emission comes into the cement and concrete sector. So just to put some numbers, and it is interesting, and I think it has been spoken by Rajneesh and others. So in terms of the cement, we consume around 440 million ton of cement every year. This is the last year number. USA, the whole of USA is around 100 million ton, plus minus something. The whole of Europe is less than 200 million ton. UK as a country is 11 million ton. So we look at these numbers and we see that the amount of the volume which we are consuming, or the demand which is here, is so large, twice in Europe and 4 times in North America, USA specifically. But we are much less than China. So for the more or less the same population base, what we have in India and China, they are at around 2,000 million tons, and we are at 440. So the amount of the work, that is what Rajneesh was talking about, we just started. We can actually go from 440 million ton to 2,000 million ton. And if we are aspiring to be Viksit Bharat by 2047, that is the number we will be chasing in the next 20-25 years. So which is like 3-4 times from the level what we are today. Infrastructure, housing, industries, commercial. So all these areas, the concrete is a fundamental building block. This is something which is affordable, something which is strong, something which is resilient, and now we are adding the terminology which is green, in terms of the construction. Now, what does it mean? So the color of the concrete is not going to change to green. It is just that, the amount of the CO2 which is emitted into the atmosphere when we are manufacturing cement and when we are manufacturing or producing cement or concrete, we reduce that. Happy to share with friends that in terms of the energy efficiency, in terms of the CO2 emission, India is actually much better than Europe and USA even today, as on date. The specific CO2 emission we do per ton of cement at 440 million ton is around 530 kg. The global average is 580 or 590. So we are 10% more efficient, in terms of the CO2 emission or the energy efficiency. But there is a scope. There is a scope further. The one of the goalposts, which is 2047 for the Viksit Bharat. The another is 2070. What India has committed for net zero. So we want to produce concrete, or cement. So bringing it down from 530, 540 today to the near zero, which is going to be defined, more like 50 or 70 kg per ton. So there is a substantial reduction which has to be done. There is a roadmap which is being worked out by GCCI. I also happen to be a director on the board of GCCI India.
Technology using concrete. So you build these structures with a large-scale 3D printer, which has got a nozzle attached to it. It builds these structures layer by layer. The whole wall is created in the same fashion. So it has got different subsystems. You need a 3D printer machine, large-scale printer machine, and you need a special mix, concrete mix, and you need all batching system, mixing system, right? And you need sophisticated software which can convert your digital design into machine language. So this is the whole process. Now, there are a lot of projects coming up in India. Panelists were talking about quality construction. I would say in the finishing area, we are wasting a lot of materials. That's the same point which we were discussing. So this is one of the technology where it gives a very perfect straight wall within less than 3 to 4 mm deviation. Where you need not to hide something on your wall, irregularities in the wall, so nothing can be done. You need not to do anything as such. Patching up work, a lot of material wastage on the plastering. So nothing as such is needed for this type of technology. If you ask whether it's a mainstream way of construction, not now. It's in the very initial phase right now. But we are seeing very potential growth for this technology, considering certain factors. It's very quick way of constructing the walls compared to the traditional methods. And as I mentioned, the quality of the construction is a supreme quality, which will reduce the waste. And overall in the site, wastage will be very minimal compared to the traditional construction methodology. And then coming to the creative work. So there are architects here in our country who are very creative, but they were not able to construct the same creative work in an actual the building form. This 3D printing technology allows all the creativities can be converted into a structure, walls, or you can say, even your house, wall structures, even compound walls, bus stops, all this can be constructed in a very creative way. So user, if I want to build a house, I can have a flexibility and I can customize my design how I want. You just need a 3D model and your printer is going to do what is there in the 3D model. Obviously there are some process attached to it, which we are working on it, right? Which we are optimizing those processes. That's what now people in the industry are working on. From the government side, yes, Indian government and some of the state governments, including Karnataka, they are investing in 3D printing structures. You can see now a lot of tenders are coming up specifically on 3D printing. I think the first one is started in Bangalore Post Office, and then now it's going to start, Pune Post Office is going to start, and then HAD Chandigarh. We have constructed along with L&T. L&T is a main partner. World's largest 3D printer site as of now, which consists of 6 blocks, around 50,000 square feet. Out of that 6 blocks, around 4 blocks constructed by our machine, which is the world's largest machine as of now. Maybe like we will beat ourselves in the next machine, which will be the bigger than this. Around 25 to 28,000 square feet was constructed, G+2 structure was constructed in Chandigarh. Followed by that, Arunachal government, directly from the CM office, they want to test this technology, which is more suitable for the geographical location. Because you don't get manpower there, you don't get any other support system there, they're a very remote area. We deployed one machine there and we constructed 2 classrooms. So now people are claiming that there is a first 3D printer classrooms or school classrooms in India or in the world. There, the significant or the importance of that school structure is the 2 classrooms. It's going to get followed by another 10 to 50 schools, mainstream schools, will be constructed in the same 3D format. So I would say that our government, both central and state governments, are very supportive in promoting this new technology. Recently, Tamil Nadu has announced some 80 bus stops to be constructed using 3D technology. See, one of the main reasons for the, on the lighter side, you might see these posters are posted in the walls. So in the 3D structured walls, they cannot paste the posters. So that's one of the criteria which they have given in the, tender. So it's on the lighter side, but again, it's a beautiful structures. You can convert your art to a structure. It's a very beautiful structures. Now, it's not everything is green here, right? There are some challenges attached to it. People don't know how to manage 3D printing sites. So delays happen because they're very new, and these delays can interpret in a way that 3D printing is not a fast way of constructing methodology. But that's not the case. We have constructed one block of G+2 structure within 1 month. The walls are constructed within 1 month. So each floor we have taken time of 1 week. So this is the pace that we constructed, and we have, it's not just like for the sake, we're just throwing out some numbers here. We ourselves constructed within 1 month 1 block G+2. Just a wall construction. Then later its finishing work is there and other works are there. We have done months starting from foundation to finishing work. So out of this 2 months, 2 weeks are the one which we have taken for the wall construction. And it's a very beautiful wall with hornbill beak is designed in the wall, and they are a state bird. So the state bird symbols are designed on the walls. It's a beautiful structure it came out. So as I mentioned the challenges, yes, people here, the project managers, are not aware of how to manage this 3D printing site. There are more wastages happening because of that. This need a proper planning. Before you get into a site, you need a proper planning. You need to plan all your material, logistics, resources, your embedded elements like reinforcements, all these things to be planned properly. And then it's a matter of 1 month for the G+2 structure. And the other challenges in this industry is we have, right now we are allowed to construct only G+2. So there are material R&D is going on to go for G+7, which I believe it will take another year or so. Right now we are constructing, in India we are constructing a shear wall concept. But it can be, foundation is same, you can go for a regular isolated footing or strip foundation. You can go for any regular foundation based on your soil test. But one of the main challenge, we cannot go on the vertical height. It's just G+2 we have right now. In this industry, a lot of chains and small deals are getting approval from the government bodies to go for multi-story building. And the next challenge is, if you see the YouTube videos and other videos of the printer, it's a very mammoth printer, easily by the regular contractors or the regular people. Working on for the multi-story mobile system, mobile printer. Lot of innovations are happening in India, which will very soon, in over 5 years of time. I cannot put the number of 5 years, maybe very soon. Things will get matured, and we will get the proper IS code, how to construct this way of
building where a high-end radar system was established in less than 6 months, including the design. Now, what Saranya is doing is one step further. So, imagine a printer doing the whole thing. So, I think it's a great effort by her and her team. I just also wanted to add something came to my mind when Manoj was talking between Manoj and Saranya. I want to connect just one line. If I have the authority to change the construction in India, just by one rule, no IS code, no VS, nothing, just one rule. That one rule would be no plastering. Manoj said 440 million tons of cement we use. My conservative guesstimate is we must be using at least 50 to 60 million tons of cement only in plastering. Which is a waste.
Which country is using this technology?
So, if there is a competition in the world that who uses maximum plastering in the world, we will get all the gold, silver and bronze medal. There is a building in Bangalore next to our GPO, that Indian Express building. That building is done 40 years back. 40 years back. And there is no plastering. Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore.
I was supposed to tell you the same.
There is no plastering.
And doesn't have any plastering.
Any plastering.
Any plastering.
And as he mentioned, every ton of cement, there is 0.5 tons of carbon dioxide going to the atmosphere.
Yeah.
You imagine if we don't do any plastering, how much saving we will do. And the moment you put this rule, no plastering, 3D printing will happen, precast will happen, good quality of concrete will happen, everything will change. So I think just one rule, no plastic. Thank you very much.
I think Kerala they have.
In the world, see, I have seen in Paris, one of the airports in Paris, there is no plastering.
Yeah.
If you do handle concrete properly, you don't need plastering at all.
The whole London is like that.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Sorry, I interrupted.
The goal should be to use auxiliary cementitious materials as well as to replace the cement into totality with some auxiliary cementitious materials so that the net carbon dioxide impact on the environment is lower. To achieve that, there are supplementary materials on which multiple innovations are happening across the world without affecting the final properties of the concrete. And we are very happy to say that India is actually leading the charge. So with that, I'll put to rest. We can discuss it after this session.
Technology, we are a backward country. As an engineer, this is my statement. Somebody may agree, I may disagree, but it's my personal statement, nothing to do with Morocco. Because during 2004, we have used all the technology what Mr. Raj Pillai. Precast, post-tensioning, pre-tensioning. We have self-compacting concrete we have used. The kind of formats we have used, the complete system format we have used. Even today in India, very few people are using it. And And when it comes to contracts also, he mentioned about FIDIC form of contract, one of the best form of contract in the world. But when I come back to India in 2000, 13 I came back to India. I was expecting a greater change in Indian, but I surprised to see we are running the same way. Same mason, same plaster, same blackwork, no technology, nothing. So seriously, and I just, I said, so what's happening in this country? So I was heading projects for After Properties. Then what I did is when I started my consulting firm, the biggest problem the consumer had, I looked at the consumers. When the developer used to deliver buildings or flats to this thing, a lot of snacks, so a lot of quality issues. Waterproofing was one of the biggest challenges, even today, it's one of the biggest subjects people discuss about. So I was the first one to introduce in India thermal imaging technology to identify advanced leakages in the building. But unfortunately, commercially it's not a viable project. I dropped it. Now many people are following this. But what I see, none of the, I represent NARADCO, National Development Council, where 80% of our members are builders. Okay? And nobody has the intention to use technology. No developer has an intention to use technology. They talk, you see on YouTube, they talk big, very big. But when it comes to adoption and this thing, they don't show that much of interest. Everything boils down to the money. So what I'm saying, like they said, L1 or whatever it is. So very few people. I've seen very veterans who use like Jai Shankar. I appreciate that gentleman who has a vision. I want to do something great, and because I worked for him and he's a great visionary. Today he is where he is, he has got a great vision, but we lack such developers, such mindsets in this country. So this is what I observed. So for example, I will tell you, even mindset of our educated people. Okay, one of the, Autodesk has one beautiful product called, I think there's a community of, journalists don't understand technology. I will tell you in your language, try to simplify as, we call something, design and development phase, which happens before construction, where we really plan what to build, and then how to build happens in the site. So there is some beautiful software called Plan Grid Developer Autodesk. It's a beautiful software, which reduces wastages. More than 10% we can reduce wastage, reworks, and we can even save time. So I tried to implement the system for one of the developer, but trust me, there was a lot of resilience from our own community. Architects don't want to use it, plumbing consultant don't want to use it. Nobody wants to use it because they don't have the intention. Their only purpose is to make quick money and get out of the business. So they don't think in the long run. So this is what I was observed, and that is why I think, see, even the consumer mindset, if you say precast, they don't trust you. One of the project, I do consumer projects. When I say, the moment I say precast, they fear, they worry, will it be strong? Oh, yeah, why are you not putting this stone masonry? They don't understand the difference between column structure, frame structure, non-frame structure. See, there is a lack in understanding. So we need to educate people. Basically, we need to educate a normal consumer. We need to educate people within the industry. And more than, we need to educate the leaders. Because when the leaders, like when I say developers, they should be able to take risk and adopt technology. So this is not happening. This is not my personal opinion. Okay. Now
are coming on board, and I see not only a very high repetitiveness from the last year exhibitors who participated, but also a lot more new community which is trying to flow. Right? At least I'd say around 22% is the new community which is joining us for this year. And as I said, in terms of, you saw the statistics, we were at precisely 10,206 visitors, which if I compare year-on-year basis, because last year also we were on the similar dates, just a day prior here and there, and if I see same time last year, same time this year, the number of registrations which have happened so far, we have already, I think, 1.5 times crossed where we were last time. So we are expecting a good turnout of 15,000 visitors this year over a period of 3 days. And besides all these formats what you saw, the conclaves, the awards, we have also this year launched Global Innovation Theatre, where only the innovations will be showcased. And I think Saranya can be a right candidate for that. And there's also, we have started a new concept of master classes. Master classes is all about a very, very specific niche topic to a niche target audience. So this is how we try to engage the industry at the forum. and we want to make it very, very meaningful and very productive engagement, for every state.